Two of the three main leaders of the armed attack at the Kartong military post were this morning apprehended. According to a press release issued from the Gambia National Army headquarters this evening, the 22nd movement at Tuba Kuta village, Jaite, Alhaji Bojang and Momodu Drame came across the two rebels, ex-Lieutenant Lamin Jaju and ex-Second Lieutenant Lamin Jame, alias LF Jame, seeking humanitarian assistance. They then immediately informed two police officers, Corporal Tamsir Ba and Sergeant Landim Bojang of Brikama, who helped them to arrest the rebels. The release also states that at the time of the arrest, a Gambia National Army mobile patrol led by Second Lieutenant Omar M. Dabo was within the area. He immediately took the rebels to Yundum military barracks for interrogation. It was told that Second Lieutenant Aliu Bang was arrested a few hours after yesterday's attack. A fourth rebel, Alaji Juv, alias Sheikh Cham or Sa Jakal, is still at large. The release also notes that all their arms and ammunition have been recovered. Meanwhile, the armed and security forces have mounted a vigorous search for the fourth rebel. The public is urged to cooperate in providing information leading to the arrest and prosecution of fourth rebel Alaji Juv. The release also assures the public that the situation is under control. Meanwhile, the Gambian leader yesterday paid a visit to the injured Gambian National Army soldiers at the Royal Victoria Hospital. Stay tuned for a short break.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I wish to welcome you all here on behalf of the Commander of the Gambian Armed Forces, Colonel Babukar Jatta, the staff officers of this headquarters, on my own behalf and behalf of all the GNA soldiers, for this press conference we are giving in respect of the incident that took place, the unfortunate incident that took place at Kartong last Monday. Having with me here today members of this panel who would try to help you as much with information regarding to this situation. On my right, I have Superintendent Jatta Balde, who is involved in the investigation since we started arresting these guys, these men. He's with the police, of course. I also have Mrs. Fatu Jahumpa, who is the Director of Press and Public Relations President's Office. On my immediate left here, I have Lieutenant Colonel Momodu Baji, who is the Principal Staff Officer here, responsible for the admin and quartermaster of the whole Gambian Armed Forces. I also have Superintendent Pambai, who is of course the head of the team from the police. We have my relation officer here, Lieutenant Bunja Dabo, and Sergeant Jase is officer in charge of the military police of the Gambian National Army, now also on this investigation. Down on my far right, sitting are the captured men who launched this attack, and from the left going to the right you have former Second Lieutenant, ex-Second Lieutenant Lamin Jame, LF Jame, followed by former Lieutenant Ba, Aliu Ba, and former Lieutenant Lamin Jaju. They were all part of the Gambia National Army and fled the country after the abortive 11 November. And they were in Casamas. So, as you may know already, it's already all over the country. that these three men here, there was a fourth person, and we are still looking for him. We don't even know whether he's dead or alive, because there were volleys of shots that separated him from the two, Lamin Jaju and Jame, day before yesterday. He may be somewhere, we don't know. But what we understand is he's still at large. He should have been the fourth person to complete the team that attacked Kartong camp Monday morning. It was around 2 a.m. when they came to the camp, to be soldiers of the Gambia National Army, of their intonation, their language, and surprise our men. They had their own arms. Of course, at one time they were denying that they had no arms at all. But later on, when after the post-mortem of one of our soldiers who were killed, this bullet was found on his back, which is a caliber not existing in our inventory. Realized that definitely they were lying to us when they said they had no arms. And when we asked them, they said yes, they had their own arms. But the impression they were trying to give in the beginning was that they came bare-handed and used their black magic power and fought their way and captured arms from our barracks. However, when they came to the barracks, we have our own contingency plan since our to ensure that every time we are attacked, whatever may be the consequence, we will not die. And that is what we applied in Kartong. We don't want to go into the details about do it because it may compromise some of our security arrangements. That's why when they attacked Kartong, there were no suffered as such. And moreover, we ensure also that our has weapons every time the camp is occupied by any type of bad people. You know, in what Kartong looks like, it is a small outpost used primarily to look out for Yundum. Is like a tentacle for Yundum, a small mini post that looks out for Yundum, because Yundum is the nucleus. So we don't even expect too much of resistance when Kartong is hit, because it is not tactical. But the fact of the matter is that barely about 15 minutes was hit. We are in the picture, and our contingencies were in place, and could be contained within the Kartong and not further than that. I like when they, in fact, were very sound after assaulting Kartong, and that there were no casualties, that the soldiers were nowhere to be seen. They should have really ensured holding it first before even thinking about coming towards Banjo. But they did this mistake because they don't know probably what to do. And moreover, I spoke to them. They told me that at that time we got some of them that they are sure even make them disappear. 20 men on this side, 20 men on that side, no bullet can. So part of African problems, you know, I think it's a major problem for Africa. which we have to outgrow. Otherwise, we run into adventures like this. However, on the day, another bad thing they really did and took lands and used it as in really does not agree with ambulance being used in any for armed insurrection or for camouflage. And that is what they use the ambulance, flashing their lights, people meeting them thinking that they were carrying probably a sick person when they were carrying all these weapons and arms they found in the ammo Kartong. But again, as I said, Gambians are sleeping. Be rest assured that the Gambian National Army is constantly on patrol and everywhere in this country. Recently, did not know, but about 3 days ago or 4 days ago, this was on Thursday, I think, Jululung was attacked. You probably have heard about it over BBC. Jululung was attacked. We did not know Jululung, so we were for attackers. And if they had missed the first contact they had with this patrol, they would have met the second contact, because this patrol didn't know when they that they are bad stored ambulance, and they debated themselves for a while they should even stop it or not. But insisted that they should check the ambulance. It was taking an unusual route. You know, this was, of course, Kebe was the patrol commander. So they went down, they came close, and the ambulance stopped. They alighted to go and examine what was on the ambulance, or in the ambulance. That is when they opened fire on these chaps. And they killed Private Bakari Sise immediately at that spot. And Lance Corporal Keba Trabe, injury in the head. He is still in a serious state of coma. We don't even know whether he will survive or not. Now, before, you know, like you can imagine, there has never been a time in this country when a patrol was just in the process of doing their job was ever fired at. So you can imagine the boys, our men, when they just got out and they started seeing that their men are just being cut down. But they also reacted and responded with their firepower. And I think that is when for the first time they realized that they were not supernatural human beings, because they sustained injuries, which to their shock has broken all the myth and belief they had that these jujus will prevent from. That's when Ba sustained his injury. He ran and they against a fire, they jumped and our men maintained sustained firing until they almost finished their rounds. But realizing that they had casualties, they collected them, put them in their vehicle, and drove back to Berkama. You know, by then we were, of course, all in Yundum, and that's when we got the information that the patrol was hit. We mobilized and moved to the location. But no sooner had these people left, they came and picked the ambulance. Now continue the launching, but to run away for their lives. They been by their supernatural powers. We went to this, and when we came, took our strategy, our tactical positions. We combed the area and we found bars with blood. That is when we knew. Up to that, we didn't know who were attacking us. When we, for the first time, realized the people who attacked us. We trailed blood. This was around Jambajeli and Sanyang area, of course, between. We trailed the blood that was dripping or coming off out of him. Sure, had some stains. That is when we also realized that he was injured. Trail him because quantity of blood could tell us that the injury is so bad that sooner rather than later he will lose a lot of force or energy to move further. So we kept on the trail, of course, to get him. We were only targeting him because we saw his ID card passing, and we went and found out that they abandoned the vehicle. This is the ambulance now. And they are told that they had another vehicle, a private car, sorry, a vehicle, whom they forced to take them to Gunjur N. And on their way to Gunjur, they saw another vehicle following them. And, you know, they just jumped out and ran into the Bar could not make it. So he straight into a garden. He was the villagers, of course, are always cooperative. Handed him over this, and then we driving him towards Banjul. We wanted to know why they were doing this. They were intending to seize Yundum barracks and negotiate. Negotiate for, I don't know. However, I feel supernatural. They had told the captives they got at Yundu that their was to go to the state house and take over the state house. I don't know how they were going to do that. But these are guys who may not be telling us too much of the truth, because he is the same Bar who told us no weapon until he came with the story of one of their men had a pistol. The man who had the pistol was who is large. We are not surprised. The story is not yet consistent on their side. But as I said, we're investigating, and I'm sure we will go to the root of the problem at the end of the process in this whole matter. Was, of course, in respect of our advisors. We are the executors, but from the army who time of the event also took direct advice Commander-in-Chief Colonel A.J.J. Jame. He gave us directives on our deployment. They were well applied. Definitely everything we did went according to how we expected it. All key points that expected them to exit through, we made sure that men were deployed. And day before yesterday, as a matter of fact, the two of them ran into these units back into the bush together with this site. Also, I want to thank our counterparts whom we were throughout in contact. And yesterday we had a session with them, with their armed forces, and we made a link on patrol both borders to deal. As I started, when I started production, I made mention of the fact that in one of the police barracks there called the sheriff, they are the red. We were aware of the presence there, but as I said, we never thought these guys were going to be threats anymore. But we are with the intention that nature will its own course, forgive and forget. Yes, that the APRC has adopted since transition came to us. But to think that these people will really plan to come and do such a bad thing on an idea so outrageous that they were supernatural humans who could disappear and come and shoot people and shut up. Definitely something, or if we had known that, we could have asked for them easily and had they kept under control. But I think this is a lesson to all of us, and we are doing our as much as possible to ensure that this is not going to happen in this country again. But most important of all is the fact that this country will prove to the world that not for any of us, for any Tom, Dick, intention in easily and try to destabilize. I have said it 2 days ago at the Gambia TV. We are ready for anything to ensure that this country lives in a spirit of harmony, good work and development. Anybody who thinks that you can come in a line different, welcome home. Our guys are ready. We are ready for you. I will take a break and invite Colonel Baji to also throw some light over the general situation that I may have missed in my narration. And after that, of course, we'll have this to give all details how their investigation is going on with, of course, Superintendent Jatabalde. If you can help.
Thank you very much, Colonel Sar. He has almost covered and narrated that is that there be any alliance. I would want at this highlight few points and extend our thanks and gratitude for some of our friends and good reasons. The asset have been on tirelessly giving their contribution, helping us until today. Like when this thing happened, maybe it will come your questions. Concerned citizens have been asking us about some contingent plans because it came as a blast of them, knowing fully well that it was only 8 months we had one of our sorrowful incidents. Now we are talking of another unfortunate incident. My answer to most of those questions are simple. Colonel Sal has right trying to give all our contingency plans here would really jeopardize our security plans and our situation. But some of them had narrowly looked at it from the perspective of not a well-constructed Kartong. But he has that son made camp that can stand and fight on its own. And if we clarify that point, we are not saying that if Kartong is, they are going to run like dogs mad and come to Yundum. That is not it. What we are saying is that Kartong is just like a surveillance point. We will be looking out for whatever is happening around the southern bank, so that when there is any problem, whoever is in charge will have to use his initiative, assess the situation, and come up with a plan. If the number is such that he can contain it without help, he would act on that. But if they need to withdraw and ask for support, it will all depend on his own initiative and decision. But all I know is, as he has, so I don't think the National Army today, as men of the army, irrespective of their postings, whether small camp posts like Kartong or Yundum, I don't think we are thinking of surrendering to any attack. We did not fence or fortified Kartong, but that doesn't mean we have not learned our lessons. Taking contingent plans could be different. Like one of the main ones we have taken is these patrols. And I think he has revealed that it was not meant to take the cat out of the bag. Be it Suku, the Kama route, and even in the province. I think these are the plans that we have, which we can obviously reveal at this point. But there are a lot we are working on. And like I had said the last time, the security of this country, yes, we can say some few members are to do that, namely the armed and the security forces. They are paid only to enforce and implement according to laws, but at the end of the day, the security of the country, we believe and we are convinced, is the responsibility of every patriotic and concerned citizen. And with what had happened with the arrest of the two yesterday, namely ex-Lieutenant Jammeh and ex-Lieutenant Jaju, I think we are convinced that our message has filtered down, because the arrest was initially conducted by civilians, July 22nd members, and patriotic citizens for that matter. So on that note, I think we will thank those three members who are just standing behind you. Alaji Futa, Lamin Jaite, and Momame. Of course, they all come from the same. They've done a good job. I think not only the members of the armed and the security force, but the population at large owes them, I think, an obligation, and we are all grateful for the good job they have done. That should be emulated by every good citizen. Coming back to the attackers, like Lieutenant Colonel Sar has rightly stated, I don't think we are anymore in this dream world where one should follow his tactics, rational and logical thinking, and adopt the Rambo style. It was a disappointment, of course, to some of us, the whole Gambian people for that matter, that there are still brothers who are thinking, planning to come and disrupt whatever good plans and intention the present government has. At this juncture, since we would be expecting questions from the floor, I would not want to labor too much, because by the time you bombard your questions, I think most of the issues that should be part of the narration will come up. Before handing over the mic, I think we also need to, again, recognize the good contributions from our sister forces, that is the Gambia Police Force, Prisons Department, the NIA, who have also given their concerted efforts in trying to make sure that this whole operation was a success. So I would thank you for your attention, and we'll be back during the question and answer time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Baji, thank you very much. I guess yes, you have said it, I think, a lot and all for that matter. I will now call on Superintendent Bai of the police, head of the police investigating team, to also brief you about what they are doing and what they are planning to do, of course, since this thing happened. So, Mr. Bai.
I am the crime management coordinator of the Gambia Police Force, otherwise known as the Commander CID. We are responsible for the investigation of this episode. As you all know, we have a very democratic government, and for that reason, we are treating them like every other criminal who commits a crime. And for that matter, we are asked to investigate with a view to gather evidence, facts. Can definitely substantiate charges that may be preferred against them. And that being the case, we cannot elaborate deeply on everything that we have done for reasons, for judicial reasons, because that may jeopardize with the investigation. And then we don't want the process, the judicial process, to be at least prejudicial. We don't want that. So for that reason, we don't want to elaborate more on what we have gathered or what we intend to do, because telling you what we intend to do might jeopardize with the investigation. And telling you what we have already done, we are giving information to anybody who will take the case in future, and that may prejudice his mind, and this is what we want to avoid. You see, all that I can tell you is from the point of we were able to gather evidence, and the evidence we have so far gathered will no doubt substantiate charges preferred against them. And this is all I have to say. If you have any questions to ask, if you ask, if these are questions that we can answer and wouldn't cause anything, we will answer your questions. If not, we will no doubt tell you that, well, sorry, I won't answer these questions to avoid certain things. This is all I can say.
It's good that you have made your position known and clear to everybody. Before inviting questions from the press, of course, I would want to invite our special press lady from the President's office just to throw some few words of, I think, thanks or appreciation to people.
Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel Sal, leader of the press briefing this afternoon, and with your partner, Lieutenant Colonel Baji, and members of the police department investigating team. Good afternoon, fellow colleagues. This is not my domain. I should not have said anything, but since I am given the opportunity, I just want to thank, on behalf of His Excellency the President, who is the Commander-in-Chief of the Gambia Armed Forces, the three patriotic youths that we already saw here, who are members of the July 22nd, which is a branch of the API party, which is the ruling party of this country, who have done a very good job. I would like to thank them very much from the bottom of my heart on behalf of His Excellency the President, retired Colonel Eliaya, AJJ Jame. They are very patriotic youths and Gambians in that matter, and I hope other Gambians will emulate their example, and I hope others too will try to help. So I would like to thank them, and I hope that my colleagues would carry on the message, since they have to sell their papers, that these are patriotic Gambian youths that need to be emulated. So once again, I thank you very much on behalf of His Excellency, the President. Thank you.
Thank you. Now we come to the time. I think you are relatively a little many here today. We have limited time. I think you can allow one another time to ask questions. I don't think it would be right for one person to ask about 4 or 5 questions when there are still few other out there.
I have just questions. But before those 2 questions, I think what you have said earlier, just before you started your speech, that some of us should not elaborate questions on certain investigations that are on. Well, that's something that probably it has something to do with your job. But let me just remind you, it would be equally fair to us, the journalists, to help certain questioning in helping in your investigations. But that is beyond us. Anyway, my first question is, it goes to you, and then my second questions might go to Pambai and probably one of the captives. During the last, as you have said, 8 months ago, we were all gathered here. You know, a similar thing happened. These people were taken on trial. None of the press officers were invited to, to disseminate the hearing procedures of the criminal cases. And is it going to happen the same thing, or is the same thing going to happen on these people? If that is so, why is it necessary then to invite the press here asking certain questions that are being censored? Two, Mr. Mbai, I don't know whether you will be able to answer that question, because you have said you have got so many evidence, to substantiate charges against the captives. Now, to your evidence, which every Gambian is, of course, interested in, did they tell you what type of government they would establish in this country? Because we just have a democratic and constitutional government that was established not quite a year ago. And it would have given them time, more than a year or two, at least to assess that government, whether it was good or bad. But they didn't do it. Were they power hungry? Did they tell you what type of a government they were going to establish? What I'm saying is, are they not satisfied with the present democratic government that we have? If they are not, what did these things show to them? Thank you very much.
Well, I think even the second question is part of our question to answer. For the first question, that's purely Supreme Court decision to have this court of, I think, in camera. And I think legal procedures normally allow prosecutors to apply for certain things like that, and it is the Supreme Court that grant it or disallow it. So I'm not sure whether this is the right place to ask that question. But if you are really interested in knowing why that happened, I think the Justice Ministry or the Supreme Court can tell you more about that. But definitely we are not to be blamed for that. The military operation is completely different from the legal operation over there. So I don't know whether that will answer your question right, but I think that is one place.
You see, court proceedings can be done open. It can also be done in camera. And in very many cases, where a court proceedings is done in camera, it normally involves a juvenile or a case for which doing it in camera is absolutely necessary for security reasons. And as far as the case of that other one is concerned, it was done in camera for purely security reasons. That was all.
That is, within your evidence that you have gathered, did any of the captives tell you what type of government they were going to establish? Because already we have a democratic and constitutional government.
When we first asked them, as I said, when we first asked them their motive for this, Ba, who spoke to me, told me that they wanted to come and capture Yundum and negotiate. What they were going to negotiate for, we are yet to know. But when they were fit and well and not yet captured and they still thought they were supernatural, they told those whom they were close to that they were going straight to the State House. What they were going to do at the State House, we don't know. Anyway, I know if it was to attack the State House, it was a miscalculation. So what they are going to do there, in fact, I think they were just committing suicide. They have not talked about overthrowing government. They have not talked about changing a government. Most likely, another vibration we are picking from them was they were targeting the prisons, blowing it open, letting loose the prisoners, have a similar situation as we did in Freetown. So there may not have been any motive, because if people can carry juju, they can cross the and land and nobody can see them. They can do anything because they live in a dream world. So that is why I think it's a premature answer to give. They are us their motive for doing, because I think still think they were a gang of madmen who just didn't even know what they were doing. Thank you very much. Any other question? Yes, Jane.
Good afternoon. I'm Manyangambi TV. I think I've exhausted all my questions, during the course of this thing, yes, during the course of the interview. But you did say at the TV station that you were not certain whether there were only 4 people involved, and you have cut 3. 1 is still missing. Have you been able to get any information as to whether there are others in this thing? There's a bigger force behind it?
Yes. I mean, we are still on the investigation. As I said, we have captured 3. 1 is still for the fence. Now account for 4. There will be a larger conspirators in the whole issue, and unless the investigation is complete, we tell you about this. These people were captured yesterday by this time. About yesterday by this time, they are still the fact that they are under control. So probably when they wake up from their slumber of their dream world, they will start revealing to us exactly who was in, what their motives are, and where they were heading to. Sorry if some of our answers are not complete. The essence of all this press briefing is to really show the world that the leaders, ring leaders, who were involved in this attack are now under control, and we are back to our normal footing. So allow us time until we get. Yes. What's the name of this guy? Yes. Bunja. You are Bunja?
Yes, Bunja Ture, Ganda Dele. Colonel Sir, unlike the other press briefing, the culprits were to at least say their mind. So, unlike this one, why is it not allowed for us to know their intention or their from the horse's mouth?
Yes, I want to say that because they lie a lot. Imagine that they kill people and tell anybody. So even if they tell you today that this is what we were doing, in fact they have given us different versions of what they want. So this is why we want you to allow us to get deeply into them. I think the essence of their presence here is for you to know that they are here alive and well, because already there have been rumors about them, but they are here with us, live and well, and we have just started our investigation. Making them talk here is not going to help us much. All right? Yes. Next one.
Good afternoon. Fatih Job from Gambia Television. Mrs. Sir, I would like to say that these people told you that, about the number of ex-Gambian soldiers who are in the group d'intervention mobile, the GRTS.
Yes, they told us there are only 3 there, but the 4th one, who was not part of the ZEMI, who was not part of them, is 3 were living there. This is what they said. It has been confirmed by a Senegalese officer whom you saw here before the interview started. I don't know whether you were aware of his presence. He came and he confirmed that even somebody did first at the same place, at the Jemi in Zigansor.
Have you informed that they are coming to
inform anybody when they were in Kartong, they sleep quietly, and as I said, when they think they were disappearing with all these jujus, and they came by the back way. We have seen where they crossed. We have gone up to where they crossed and came to the Gambia and attacked the camp.
Did they tell you how many of them involved in this?
Yes, they said they are 4.
Those who were in Jamie, I mean, in itself.
Well, they are saying that they are the only 4 involved.
Gambians.
Yes, but we still have men in Casamas who were involved in the 11.
Okay, that's my question. Where all those guys from the 11 November attempted coup are involved in this case, because they might maybe 2 or 3 groups. The one will come first and the next, I don't wish that, but the next will come later. Okay.
But I can assure you that we will get them all. We will get them all.
Thank you. Okay, if I can help him here to just to satisfy your urge as to where the 4th person is residing. From the investigation reports, we have it confirmed that Sajakal is staying in a village called Katak. It's a border village just behind Kartong. I understand he's been there for some time, and with other members, friends who took part in the 11th November aborted coup d'etat. See, we are not sure of names, but from confirmed sources, we were informed that Jakal lives or stays in that village. It is not far from Kartong.
Now I would like to start to clarify where Jululu is, because maybe some of our colleagues here don't know where Jululu is, because you said in your intervention that Jululu was attacked some time ago and you were not aware of it.
Jululu is a border village in the Casamas area, not very far. It's about 35 kilometers from our border with Gambia. From Jiboro. So it is not very far from our location. Definitely for Juf, yesterday, in fact, our men with the Senegalese contingent that was deployed to comb their border to look for them met with our patrol, and they went up to the village where this Juf was staying, and they found out that the man who was lodging him ran to the Gambia the previous day. He was in Kartong. This morning he was traced at Latrikunda, and they went to his house and they found that he ran away, but all his luggage are there. So, you know, whatever it is, we will try and finish the story once and for all.
Camp that they were living in, they knew about it. Now, the Senegalese did not know when these chaps were leaving. In fact, they paid for their fares at the garage in Siganshore and told the driver that he can pick them further down the road after the checkpoint.
My first question concerns those who were involved in the November 11 incident and escape from the Gambia. I would like to know how many are still at large, and especially in the Senegal. That's the first question. Do I proceed to the second? Okay. Well, my second question concerns what you actually said, that in fact there was consideration being given as to whether to grant amnesty to those who were involved in the November 11 incident. And I would like to know whether that is still a matter being considered. And yes, okay, I limit it to that. Unfortunately, you have said that there are certain questions you could not answer given the situation. That's understandable, but then these are the questions that I have.
11 November attackers, abortive coup d'etat attackers, after they left this country, form interest groups and splinter groups in Senegal. Some when they are purely on refugee status and ask for international assistance to go out of Senegal. And I'm made to understand that 5 of them were granted asylum in America, and they are now living in the USA. There are 7 of them, of course, including this Juf we are trying to hunt for, who are still in Casamas and Dhaka. But this morning, or since this attack, the Senegalese authorities have now closed all concept about what they felt about these guys, and have assured us that all they need is their names, and they are going to get them all, because they thought they harbored people who were harmless and peaceful. But now that they have done this, they have just done nothing but betrayed their trust, and that they will cooperate with us. As I told you, to be very frank, we were not aggressively pursuing their arrest to come back home, because we didn't think they were any more harmful after their experience of 11 November, you know. So we were with the impression. In fact, about 3 weeks ago, one of them walked into the office, Private Mbalo, and came and said, "Sir, hey, I have been running for too long, and I think I am too irresponsible. I'm crazy. You know, we took him, interrogated him, and he is still being investigated. Nothing happened to him. He's there with us. You know, if you see people whom you had accused of some ill intention taking this approach, you will definitely have a second thought of trying to get those people pinned down or trying to punish them hard as you may have intended at the initial stage when this thing occurred, right or wrong. Yes, and that is the approach everybody. We are humans. Our hearts have been softened since then, and it was softening. That is why I am not saying that this was necessarily a government decision or plan to give them amnesty, but at our level, we were considering the possibility of recommending for an amnesty for these people to come back home and just live with their families. But with this type of behavior from them, definitely it is a situation we are going to reassess. It is too premature for me to tell you whether we are still considering that amnesty trail, but we will reassess the position of these people in the wake of this event that took place recently. I hope that has satisfied your question. Thank you. Ibrahim?
Yeah.
Mrs. Also paid tribute to His Excellency President Jammeh and members of the erstwhile AFPRC government for such an achievement. Other speakers included the Director General of the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, Mr. Mamsaid Jallo, the contractors, Mr. Amadou Samba, Chairman of Gamsen Construction Company, and Mr. Per Kujabi, the architect. As President Jammeh declared the terminal building opened, he was taking on a conducted tour of the building. The edifice cost $100 million. It is 23 meters high with 9,000 square meters of space fully equipped and an additional 3,000 square meters reserved for future expansion. The departure lounge has sitting space for 350 passengers. The building also holds an enviable VIP lounge and a first-class passenger lounge. The architect described this project as his best. President Jammeh was accompanied by the First Lady, Madam Tutifal Jammeh. Present at the occasion were the Vice President and State Secretary responsible for Women's Affairs, Mrs. Aisatunjai Sidi, Speaker of the National Assembly, Chief Justice, Secretaries of State, the International Civil Aviation Organization Regional Representative, the Senior Representative for the U.S. Federal Aviation Authority, UN agencies representatives, diplomats, religious heads, senior civil servants, commissioners, and other dignitaries, as well as a famous Libyan musical group and members of the July 22nd movement and well-wishers. Nina McDowell, GTV News.
The people of this country can now look ahead of President Yahya Jammeh. One particular project many will rightly consider as the national vehicle into the new millennium is the new airport terminal building and its control tower, plus the added improved facilities put in place. One man who has been associated with the project from scratch and as GTV was taken on a conducted tour, we were dazed at what we saw. This is obviously a masterpiece. The new airport has a huge public concourse where people accompanying friends and relatives or receiving them can wait. Inside the concourse is a small fountain bar, telephones, toilets, and a lounge where people can relax while waiting. Though there is Western touch to the decorations, most of them are African. This African woman carrying the water jar inside this fountain is indeed a common sight in Africa. When the airport starts operating, water will be pouring out continuously from the jar. Large cooking pots are being used as flower pots, and the walls have been decorated with African images. The public halls and upstairs are the only places non-travelers are allowed into. From there we went into the check-in area. This is where passengers traveling out of the country can check in their luggage. From there we passed through immigration and onto the hand luggage screening area.
This is our hand luggage checking area, and our duty and responsibility